The last 24 hours has been absolutely insane. Today we're going to talk about the SEC's tweets that they just posted last night, as well as the Bitcoin ETF, and of course we're going to cover the current portfolio. So as always, let's get straight to it. Welcome back to the 0 to 6 figure series. This is a series in which I showcase my portfolio. You can see it in real time. Check the link in the description below. We're just going to dive straight into it. What we saw yesterday was some of the most bizarre, crazy things that I've seen in a long time. I mean, this is crypto. We always see crazy things here, don't we? So what happened yesterday? Well, we got this tweet from the official Twitter account of the SEC saying that today the SEC grants the approval for the Bitcoin ETFs for listing on all registered national securities exchanges. And they created this lovely graphic as well with a quote from Gary Gensler, essentially saying, they're going to create a regulated framework, blah, 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 blah. Right. Anyway, as soon as this tweet happened, you know what would have happened. Bitcoin immediately posted this giant giga candle going all the way up to almost $48,000. However, as you can see, immediately after, something strange did happen. Well, Gary Gensler then said that the SEC government Twitter account was compromised and an unauthorized tweet was posted. And the SEC has not approved the listing and trading of spot Bitcoin exchange traded products. As you can see, incredible amount of reaction, 25 million views. You can see the comments on screen here. Market manipulation by the SEC. Ryan from Bankless. How do we know this account's not compromised? Trade at SC. Forget worrying about crypto. Sort out the two-factor authentication on your Twitter first. Benjamin Cohen. Gary, have you rugged us? Coin Bureau. Like, even Kobe as well, I believe, said something. And as you can imagine, Bitcoin immediately nuked. And I believe this was like more than a 5%, almost 7% red candle that we've basically put in minutes after this. I think this caught everyone by surprise. We weren't really expecting that. I think we weren't expecting this tweet to begin with. I think no one was expecting the SEC government account to be compromised. Whether it was compromised or not is another question that a lot of people are speculating on. I don't know. What we do know is that there are some Congress letters to Chairman Gensler, basically asking him to explain in detail the nature of the erratic announcement that happened. So he's got a deadline, I believe it's the 23rd of January. So please provide a briefing to my staff as soon as possible, but no later than January the 23rd. So it will be interesting to see kind of what happens there. Let's see kind of what explanation they give about kind of what happened there and what happens with the ETF. So as it currently stands, as of the time of recording, we are currently on January the 10th, just around 1 p.m. UTC time. There is no ETF just yet, but we'll have to wait and see. Perhaps in the next day, we'll get some more clarification about what's going on. So that was pretty crazy. During this time, Bitcoin going up, then going down 7%, and now it pretty much went sideways and even a little bit down actually now as we look at today, where we are right now, this afternoon. So that was not very good. Doesn't give crypto a good look, but I think more so it doesn't give the SEC a good look at all. A disaster. But either way, I think what was interesting is we did see that a lot of these ETF filing companies, issuers I should say, have actually announced their fees. And it's really interesting to see kind of the Bitcoin ETF wars that are approaching now. We see Grayscale have ridiculous fees at 1.5%, but we see like really quite significant competition with the likes of ARK, BlackRock, Bitwise, and some of the other providers here as well. Now, BlackRock are charging 0.2% for the first 6 months or up to the first $5 billion. And then I believe they have actually reduced this to 0.25%. So really, Wall Street is competing with one another quite intensely. And you can see that some of these other issuers like ARK and Bitwise have a 0% fee for the first 6 months or up to $1 billion of deposits. So that's really quite encouraging to see that all of this competition is going to drive cheaper fees and hopefully therefore a lot more inflows coming in anyway. I think the real winner from all of this is going to be Coinbase, who are going to be custodying the majority of this Bitcoin that kind of comes through. So where do we go from here? Well, Hans Soller is one of my favorite option traders on crypto Twitter, and essentially he's looked at some of the data, and the 3-month skews currently favor puts, so puts being bearish on Bitcoin. And essentially he's created 2 potential scenarios here. Now, obviously, I'm not endorsing this. I don't know if this is going to happen. It could be that neither of these 2 scenarios happen, but I thought it would just be interesting. So Hans Soller is a great guy. We've chatted with him before as well on Twitter, for those of you who follow me there. So Scenario 1, ETF approval proves to be a top. Bitcoin chops and bleeds towards the halving. Capitulation or lack of reaction to the halving, a rounded bottom, and then we get a peak later on in the cycle. That would be pretty interesting, to say the least, because I think a lot of us are kind of positioned accordingly for the upcoming bull market. And if this were to happen, I think this wouldn't be very good for your favorite altcoins either, would it? Scenario 2, however, is the complete opposite of that, where it says strong ETF inflows, squeeze the markets and lead to all-time highs, and we get an early cycle peak. That also would be a very interesting scenario here, because I think a lot of people are potentially anticipating, a bull market to happen, maybe 2025. But if something like this happens and we were to get an early cycle peak, that would be, a little bit different to kind of how previous bull cycles have gone. So I think really interesting to just think about these 2 different scenarios, and see whether it's scenario 1, whether it's scenario 2, or whether we have a third scenario altogether. Personally, I'm actually not too sure which way is going to go. However, you know that I'm exposed to the market, and we're going to showcase my portfolio in a second. So Bitcoin down at now $44,500, significantly lower than where it was just a few hours ago, really. Let's have a look at the portfolio. We are currently at, let me give this a refresh, $24,812. It looks like in the last hour the market's kind of pulled back, with ETH going down 2%. I mean, in keeping with Bitcoin going down as well. So yeah, just below that $25,000 mark. The portfolio has changed ever so slightly. So one thing that I have done is, we did have Lyra in the portfolio. I did sell it. We should be able to see it here. Our total profit was only 24%. I think I did fumble this trade a little bit. Probably should have sold it on the sell the news with Lyra V2, but held on to it for a little bit longer. Either way, I think profit is profit. We probably could have outperformed buying some other alts, but I think given where we bought it from and where it ended up, and then kind of how we've still made profit, I guess I'm happy. Anyway, perhaps we will return to some option products in future, but for now, I'm happy to kind of cut ties there. I have replaced it with SSV, which is a play on Ethereum staking. They have this distributed validated technology. Poopman DeFi on crypto Twitter has done an incredible thread on it, so I will leave that in the description below, so you can go check that out. So yeah, we've just bought it a day ago, so I mean it's up 7%, but I mean it could be up 10% or down 10% tomorrow. Do you know what I mean? Otherwise, I think generally things have been the same. We haven't added any positions anywhere. We haven't sold any positions anywhere. As you can see, like in the last 24 hours, it looks like Ethereum ecosystem alts are kind of catching a little bit of a bid, with ETH up, I mean, and Bitcoin being down, Arbitrum up, FXS up, Butterfly up, Gearbox up, Matic was slightly up before kind of reducing or coming down a little bit in the last hour. What was really interesting is when the announcement happened around here, Bitcoin obviously went up and then went back down, but ETH kind of continued to go up. So I think a lot of people were talking about the idea of whether or not we're front running an ETF for Ethereum. I think we're probably a little bit too early for that just yet, and I think it's all just speculation for now. But I do wonder whether or not eventually we will get a repricing on ETH, and whether or not ETH kind of gets a reversal to the mean, especially with the market pumping so well with Bitcoin and alt L1s, but ETH kind of not doing so well. We talked about this in the last episode anyway. So yeah, I mean you can see that my portfolio is certainly ETH heavy. I think probably will be diversifying over time, and I think as I've mentioned in previous episodes, deep in is one of the categories that I'm interested in. I know that this is mostly a DeFi channel, but I think generally, as long as it's on chain, we talk about it. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see about that. One of the reasons why I'm particularly excited about what Ethereum, what the Ethereum ecosystem, especially around the staking ecosystem is going to provide, is because of Eigenlayer. I think Eigenlayer is one of the most interesting protocols or innovations that we've had in a while. And yes, I know there is some backlash around it, but this is a protocol that's already got over $1 billion in TVL. Doesn't even have a token yet. We're all speculating on a token by staking here. The staking caps are already filled. They probably will open up some more availability end of January. I believe they will support FraxETH and some of the other LSDs. We've seen that Eigenlayer have recently been talking with using Ethereum security for the Cosmos hub as well. So I think Eigenlayer is really going to be a massive application, and I think with this we will see some of the inflows kind of come into other restaking or even just general ETH staking crypto assets. So I think I'm positioned for quite nicely. We've got FXS, we've got Butterfly, and we've got SSV as kind of 3 beta plays on that. Let's see kind of what happens there, but I think I'm excited about that, and I'm interested to see what happens. I think generally I'm bullish Ethereum ecosystem because of this sort of stuff. I know it has been outperformed, I should say, by other alts, by other ecosystems, but I think generally, I think Ethereum will eventually get its time to shine, and hopefully we can capitalize on that. So either way, it was a really interesting, last few hours or last night, I should say, with what happened with the SEC. I think the Bitcoin ETF is obviously getting all of the attention and all of the news, but potentially once this is over, some of that inflow potentially goes into ETH. But we'll have to wait and see. Yeah. That's all I could say. So yeah, here's a portfolio. As you can see, where these are the positions, these are the profit and losses that we're in at the moment. I will be adding to this. Like, my portfolio is not complete, and I will be changing positions around. Like I said, I am a long-term investor, but I think fundamentals kind of are important, but also so is narratives. And I think if you can catch the right narrative, then you can make asymmetrical gains, especially in this market. So that's all I want to cover today. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. We'll be back with plenty more content in the near future.